Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of God, the most gracious, most merciful. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. You're listening to Radio Mac broadcasting on 107.1 FM. From the heart of Bradford. And I'm your host, Asif Sabah, live in the studio. And in a moment, we're going to be talking about sacred wisdom and everyday spiritual fulfillment. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of God, the most gracious, most merciful. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, my brothers and sisters, and welcome to this evening's program. Today, we're going to be looking at a topic on living by the Quran and integrating sacred wisdom into your everyday life for spiritual fulfillment. So basically, we're just going to be talking about how you can include a spiritual way of living into your everyday life. Before we do that, we give thanks and praise to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for allowing us to come into your homes to bring you messages of hope, happiness, peace, love and well-being. And that we may remind you of the favours that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed on you. This program is dedicated to exploring the spiritual and the symbolic language of the Quran. The Quran that I use is the Allama Abdullah Yusuf Ali version that's been translated from Arabic to English. And the main features of these talks are about what it's like to be a spiritual person living in this physical world. If what I quote does not match up exactly with the version of the Quran that you have, it may be that you have got a different edition. And so we're going to talk about how you can integrate the Quranic sacred wisdom into your everyday life. And this will give you much more satisfaction. You will get a sense of spiritual fulfillment as you learn to integrate the beautiful and amazing wisdom that you find in the Quran into your everyday life. And I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that you're applying to your life right now. All those little things that happen and kind of throw us off balance. We get sidetracked by all sorts of different things that are going on in our everyday life. And then all of a sudden we'll think of a beautiful verse from the Quran that says something like, with every difficulty there is ease. And as we apply this spiritual wisdom to our everyday life, it calms down the negative emotions and those harmful thoughts and the irregularities that we think about. It kind of calms them down and stops them growing into like a big warfare within yourself and throwing you so far off balance that you become lost to the life of the world. So that is the power of the amazing wisdom that you will find in the Quran. That's why I always like to say, read the Quran as much as you can. Apply its wisdom to your everyday life. And you'll be surprised how quickly and how amazing those verses work on you to calm down the negative emotions from arising any further than what they do. And imagine, just for a moment, if we didn't have the Quran in our lives to teach us, to give us those words of wisdom that help us on our journey. We'd be lost. We wouldn't have anything to counteract the negative emotions that can spring up when things don't always go our own way in life, according to our views and our ideas at that time. And so this is why we should really respect the Quran and read it often so that we can refresh our memory about the amazing verses that you will find. And, someone rightly said that the holy book of the Quran, it's not just a religious book. It's more than that. It's a guide to living a peaceful and a fulfilling life. And we as human beings can embrace its teachings because it offers spiritual fulfillment and it enriches our own existence. It helps us in so many ways that, it's only when you read the Quran that you actually start to see how amazing the wisdom within its verses actually helps you. And so by embracing the Quran as a guide to your daily living, by embracing those verses that teach you, explain to you, and sing to your soul, and help you through all the different things that are going on in our everyday life. That is so amazing. And I don't think there's another book in this world quite like the Quran that can teach you all about yourself and puts you on a beautiful pathway to total spiritual fulfillment. Because there are depths within the Quran. There is a symbolic language that transcends this world. It takes you on an amazing journey into the depths of your own soul, where you will find some amazing things, amazing wisdom, and it helps you to grow. It releases you from the obligations that sometimes you feel you have to abide by, but they may not be in line with the real, true spiritual wisdom of the Quran. Because we as human beings, there'll be a lot of people who make things up and they'll invent things and say, well, this and this and this is what you need to be doing. This is your obligation. But when you continually read the Quran, you'll start to remember so many amazing things within the wisdom of the Quran to help you on your journey, and that will give you the correct guidance, that will give you the help that you need as you travel your journey through this world. And so, by embracing the Quran as a guide to your daily living, you will find that it calms down the negative emotions, those harmful thoughts that try to rise up and fill you with anxiety, depression, and many other symptoms. And as a result of those symptoms like anxiety and depression, that will lead you to suffering physically as well as spiritually, because you'll know yourself. And I'm sure you'll be aware that, too much negative thinking, well, ask yourself, what does that bring on? What does that do to you as a person? You know the answer. It puts you under a lot of stress, a lot of strain, and you'll find that eventually that stress and that strain will lead to all sorts of physical ailments because of the thinking that is involved in what arises. Now, looking at the Quran, it explains that we are born into the base matter that we know. And it's for us to raise ourselves out of that base matter, or let's say negative thinking, negative emotion, harmful thoughts. And we have the Quran to help us to counteract those negative emotions and expressions that will arise up within us. And so again, the beauty and amazing Quran offers us that guidance. So it is important to acknowledge the role of the Quran as a divine guidance in your life. It will help you in so many ways. It offers you timeless wisdom and guidance that transcends the boundaries of time, also the boundaries of culture. And that is the beauty of the Quran. And by approaching the Quran with an open heart and an open mind, you are invited to read its wisdom and follow its teachings so that it illuminates your life. It opens you up and gives you that guidance that allows you to see the direction you should be traveling in your life. That is the amazing Quran. So think about reading it. Don't just leave it over there and think that you can soldier on or battle through on your own. There is an amazing book there to help you. And the teachings, they were brought down from the highest of heavens as a guide, and they came through the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and were brought into this world as a gift to you. Now imagine if that hadn't occurred. Where would you be? What would you be believing in? So look to the Quran for your answers. Read it as much as you can and allow its wisdom to embed itself within you and become a part of your character. And that is when you'll see how the wisdom of the Quran illuminates your pathway. It gives you that guidance. It gives you the answers to your inner questions. And if you're not sure what a verse means, where's the best place to look? To the heavens. Because the Quran came down from the highest of heavens as a gift to you. And if you want the answers to those questions or those verses within the Quran, turn your attention towards the heavens for the answer. And that will help you on your journey. How can you do that? Through mindfulness meditation. That will help you. That will give you the guidance you need, because when you close your eyes and meditate, what are you doing? You're reducing your vision of the outside world and you're looking into your own soul. Now, depending on where you are on your pathway, your consciousness is connected to the hereafter, and you do receive inspiration from the wisdom of the Quran. And we will do a specific talk just on inspiration at some point. But you will receive divine inspiration And it comes through your higher self, your higher consciousness. Because you're not just this physical body racing through this life. You have a soul. Through your soul comes wisdom. It comes into you. Because not all your thoughts are your own thoughts. You receive information which tries to lead you astray, and that's when the darkness jumps in. Then you also have your angels, your guardian angels. They are there. They are waiting for you to turn your attention towards the heavens for answers to your own inner questions. And they will answer you because, as you know, the angels are closer to you than your jugular vein. And just like the darkness can whisper certain thoughts into your mind, so too your angels can put suggestions for your answers into your own mind. So remember, not all your thoughts are from yourself. Not all your thoughts are your own creation. You have these guardian angels who are watching over you, and they have been especially assigned to you to guide and help you on your journey. They aren't just random angels that just popped in and just said, oh, let me guide this person for a bit. No, you have a guardian angel that was specifically assigned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be your guide, to help you on your journey. And how does this angel help you? It sends you thoughts that you might consider, that you might remember, and follow the best of guidance that comes into your mind. So be aware of that. It is so important. And once you grasp that understanding, it'll help you to understand, when you're thinking negative, you can ask yourself, is that me or is that the darkness? When you are thinking positive, you can say, well, is that me or is that a message that's coming to me from my guardian angel? They are there. Your guardian angels are there to help you. They are not concerned about other people, because other people have their own guardian angels. Your guardian angels are there specifically for you. And when you know that you have two powerful guardian angels watching over you, guiding you, helping you, you can defeat anything, any obstacle in your way. And one thing about guardian angels, although you have your guardian angels who are specifically assigned just to you, they also talk to each other about what's going on, how best we can help this person in the physical world on their journey. Because don't forget, if you read the Quran talks about how the guardian angels are there to learn his doings, as it says in the Quran. I don't actually have that verse with me because I didn't know I was going to talk about this, but it actually tells you your guardian angels are there to learn your doings, and that's what it says in the Quran. I'll see if I can find the verse. I've got a good idea where it is, but I'll see if I can find it. Anyway, they are also learning as well. And based on your choices and based on the guidance, well, it all comes together. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, my brothers and sisters, and welcome back. You are listening to Radio Mac, broadcasting on 107.1 FM from the heart of Bradford, and I'm your host, Asif Sabah, in the studio. And don't forget, if you want to contact me directly, you can do that via my website at www.asifsabahmindfulness.com. And there you can, leave me a message, email me, just generally contact me with the details on there. And any questions that you have regarding the Quran, any verses that you want me to look at and talk about, do feel free to contact me. You've heard me talking. I've been here for the past 2 years, talking about Islam, talking about the Quran, and any questions that you have regarding the Quran, its verses. Maybe you're reading the Quran and, you've come across a verse and you're not sure how to understand it, because the Quran is an amazing book in that it has a language within a language. It's not just a book based on everyday life, but behind the wisdom of the Quran, there is a symbolic language. And we will get into talking about this symbolic language on this radio show. I usually do a radio show Sunday evenings from roughly around 7 o'clock. It depends when the azan is, when namaz comes. At the moment it's kind of right over at 22 minutes past. So I usually do that and then do my namaz first and then come on air. And so sometimes it could be closer to 7:30, just after the adverts, I'll come on air. But I'm usually here. When the time moves on, I'll start a little bit earlier. You might find me on at 7 o'clock. So roughly, if to cover everything, between 7 and 9 is the time I actually do my radio shows. So it does depend. That's the same for Wednesday evening as well, between 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock. I'm usually here to talk about the Quran and explain, and we will get into looking at the symbolic language of the Quran. And also, I do actually have some good news. I got a book out called Self-Help Guide to Meditation and the Quran, and it looks at the more spiritual aspects of the Quranic verses and its symbolic language. Not everything, but I take some verses and explain them as you journey into your own inner self. It's like a journey into your own soul. And so we look at the verses from that point of view, and it's available on Amazon, or you can go to my website at www.asifsabahmindfulness.com, and you can see more information there. So the good news is that I'm doing the audio book of a second book. And that book, so I've got how many chapters? I think I've done 4 chapters so far. So I think in about 2 weeks' time, I'll have that complete. And then I'll start to upload this second book. It's a continuation of Self-Help Guide to Meditation and the Quran. So this is the follow-on book. It's all the stuff that I couldn't really put into the first book, because it takes you on a deeper dive into the wisdom of the Quran and its symbolic language. So the meaning behind the words. And sometimes as you're reading the Quran, depending on which direction your focus of attention is, it does depend on how you interpret the verses. So if you look to the physical reality, the physical world and read the Quran, if that's where your consciousness is, you will relate all the verses to that journey. However, there is another journey, a journey into the depths of your soul. And that journey takes you on an amazing adventure. And then when you start to unlock the symbolic language of the Quran and realize, okay, it's talking about this, but then there's another side, it's actually explaining. Your soul understands that wisdom, but your mind and your intellect may just interpret it according to the physical reality. So it all does depend on which direction you are focused. If you focus your attention on the physical world, then that's how you will interpret the verses of the Quran. If you start to meditate or reflect within yourself, or the Islamic term for meditation is muraqabah. If you start to meditate and go within your soul, that is when you start to see within the Quran a different understanding, a sacred kind of wisdom encoded in the words of wisdom of the Quran. So it does have like a double meaning, but it all comes down to which direction you focus your attention. The best way to understand its more spiritual nature is to look within yourself, and it will unravel that mystery. And this is what I want to teach you about on these programs, just laying the foundations. So if you do want an early start, why don't you drop into Amazon, you can actually buy a copy of my book. You can get paperback, or you can actually also get the audio book. I've read the whole book and it's all in audio format, and you can download the audio book, or you can get the Kindle version. And that will lay the foundations for the second book that I have coming out. I'm on chapter 4, or I just completed chapter 4 today. And so I'm going to start chapter 5, maybe, I don't know, during the week, and so on. But I expect to have it done in the next 2 weeks, inshallah. And so, yeah, maybe towards the end of next month, that too will be available, maybe sooner, maybe in the middle of June. So do keep listening to this program. I will be definitely telling you that I've completed it, and it's available to buy as well. But if you haven't bought the first one and you've enjoyed these programs, do buy the second one. Do buy the first one, because that will lay the foundations for the second one, and it will take you on a deeper dive into the wisdom of the Quran. And it will help you. It's all about helping you on your journey. And so, the Quran came down, and its wisdom can help you in your everyday life, and you will get spiritual fulfillment. That's what reading the Quran does for you. So apply the Quranic wisdom to your experiences in your life, because they will help you on your journey. They will elevate your consciousness. And don't forget, your journey in this life, it's what counts. If you sit back and do nothing, it's to the loss of your own soul. And let me just explain something about the books I've written. They do not come from any specific group or organization. It is a personal journey. It's based on my own personal spiritual experiences through meditation. So it's not about, it comes from this group or that group or another group, and it's not anything to do with that. I'm not promoting any group or anything. All I've done is meditated or practiced Muraqabah and then written about my experiences. So it is a personal journey that I'm sharing with you. So it's not promoting any other group apart from the Quran. The Quran only. That's where I get all my information from. I just thought I'd clarify that with you because, if people are worried about, we don't follow this, that or the other, and it's nothing to do with any other group. It's just a straightforward look at the verses of the Quran, and it's these books are based on my own personal spiritual experiences. And so it's just a way of helping you. And that's all I've written these books for. To maybe help you with your own journey. And so that's why I've called it Self-Help Guide to Meditation and the Quran. And that's all it is. So inshallah, you'll be inspired to read it and work on yourself, because your life is your own journey. I can't make your journey for you. It's a journey you have to make yourself. And each soul must come up struggling for itself, as you know. Anyway, let's continue talking about how you can apply the teachings of the Quran even in this modern life that we live. So the Quran teachings in this modern world require like a balanced approach. And this balanced approach is a balance between the timeless principles and wisdom of the Quran, and that we should live in a more simpler way. And again, how do we do that? By practicing gratitude. And these simple acts of kindness that we can do through our relationships with each other, such as kindness, honesty, compassion, are all fundamental values promoted by the Quran that can be easily practiced. There's nothing difficult in practicing kindness, honesty, compassion amongst ourselves, and just being a good human being. And that is what it's about. And so you can strive for excellence in your work. You can maintain family ties and contribute positively to the communities around you. You can still do all those things, but integrating the principles of the Quran into your daily lives will be a bonus. It will be a bonus for you. It will help you in so many ways. And it will inspire you. And so that is why it's so beautiful. The teachings of the Quran can be applied to your life. They are timeless. This timeless wisdom will never end. Never end. It will always be there. And so, something else that the Quran can do, it can build bridges, and it fills in the gaps between what you do in your life and your spiritual connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It gives you that wisdom to keep you spiritually connected so that you don't cut yourself off entirely from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because you'll know yourself, it's not hard to turn round and say, I don't believe, I this, I that, I the other. When you do that, slowly you start to build up a rejection of the truth within yourself. And you'll know this yourself as you go through life and you start to think, I this, I that, the other, and I don't believe in this, I don't believe in that. You say that because then what happens to you is you build a little wall of rejection. And if you keep repeating that to yourself, that wall becomes stronger. And then that wall becomes so strong, it cuts off your connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That wall of rejection that you created yourself. Allah didn't create that wall of rejection. You turned round and created it. And this is what we have to be careful about. That we don't create this wall of rejection within ourselves that cuts us off from being a believer. Because it's very easy to do. And so look within yourself. Read the verses, the wisdom of the Quran to help you on your journey. The Quran that I use is the Allama Abdullah Yusuf Ali translation from Arabic to English, because I like to know what the Quran is saying. And so when you read that version, it will help you on your journey. If you've got your own version, a different version, well, read that. Read the version that you have, that you enjoy. And look to the wisdom, because it's there. It's all hidden within its verses, and it will help you. It will show up, and it will give you that guidance. So, one of the challenges of living by the Quran is bridging that gap between its verses and your everyday actions. And it requires a conscious effort. It does require effort to live your life according to the Quran, because you've got all these different ideas and they're pulling you this way, they're pulling you that way. They're saying, get involved in this, get involved in that. Yet, the Quran is there. Maybe it's telling you not to get involved in this and get involved in that. Because the guidance of the Quran is timeless. And you've got to think of the picture ahead of you. Because if you create that wall of rejection within yourself, then you are the only person who's going to lose. So break down those walls of rejection, read the Quran, take its timeless wisdom and make it a part of you. Because you've got to look to the time when you leave this world. And you know it's going to happen at some point. So allow the wisdom of the Quran to help you on your everyday journey. And you will be so surprised at what you will find. And don't just read the Quran once and think, that's it, I've done it. What happens is when you read the Quran, and this is what I was writing about in this second book. The first time you read the Quran, it clears away some of the base matter, some of the negative emotions or the harmful thoughts, because you start to see its wisdom. And so there's a bit of a cleansing that takes place within your own self. The second time you read the Quran, you see something of what you saw the first time. However, all of a sudden you start to see things and you say, how did I miss that? I've just read the Quran and now you're reading it again, and all of a sudden some new verses that you didn't notice before. Did I fall asleep in the middle of reading it or something? Because, how did I miss this wisdom? Well, let me tell you what happened. When you read the Quran the first time, it cleared away some of the darkness. The second time you read the Quran, the first time it created a little bit of light. The second time you read the Quran, that light allowed you to see what you missed the first time. So, imagine what happens the third time you read the Quran. You will see things within the wisdom of the Quran that is going to absolutely astound you. And you'll be wondering, how did I miss this wisdom? So you do need to read the Quran, not just once, not just twice, not just 3 times, but continually read it to remind yourself. And you will see things in the wisdom of the Quran. And as that, each time you read it, there will be a clearing of the darkness within you. And a little bit more light will shine, and that will allow you to see the things that you missed the first time. The third time, fourth time, however many times you read the Quran, each time you will see deeper into its depths. So if you do want some help, get my book, The Self-Help Guide to Meditation and the Quran. It will give you ideas, and I've got the verses I use, and you can check it in your own Qurans. You can check the verses. If you are not using the Allama Abdullah Yusuf Ali translation, or for short, the Yusuf Ali translation, the wording may be a little bit different, but I use the Yusuf Ali, the Glorious Quran translation. And that was written back in, I think, somewhere around 1957, so nearly 75 years ago. I find that such a fascinating translation. So if you want the exact same copy, go out and buy that one. And you'll see when you read my books, all the verses I use as I'm going through and talking about things, they are all there. And it will help you and give you that additional guidance, inshallah. So use the Quran to bridge the gap between your everyday actions, because it will help you. And it does require a conscious effort. You have to strive. You have to work on yourself. And self-reflection is so important in understanding the Quran and its teachings. It's not just about reciting the verses, but understanding their relevance in your daily life and implementing them and acknowledging them. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, my brothers and sisters, and welcome back. You are listening to Radio Mac, broadcasting on 107.1 FM from the heart of Bradford. And today we're talking about how the Quran can help you on your journey through this world. And the Quran has so much wisdom within its verses. And when you get into difficulty, if you have nothing to counteract the harmful negative thoughts that can arise, then you will be lost to the life of the world. And so what the Quran does for you, it gives you the tools, it gives you information to help you to counteract the negative self-talk that we give to ourselves when situations aren't going the way we want them to, or we perceive them to be going in we perceive the things that are happening in a difficult way. And so the Quran emphasizes one thing that is of value, and that is patience, especially during times of difficulty, and that we should strive to embody patience in our daily lives and in our interactions and challenges and all the difficult things that can happen in our everyday life. And so I'm going to give you 2 verses from the Quran to just help you to see how amazing the wisdom of the Quran is regarding your life and your journey, and how it can help you, how that wisdom will help you on your journey. Because if you didn't have it, then you wouldn't have anything to counteract these harmful negative thoughts that we can think about. You know, we don't escape them. They sometimes jump out of nowhere, and we've got nothing to use to help us on our journey. But now we have the Quran. And so let's look at Surah 11, verse 115. And it says this: "And be steadfast in patience, for verily God will not suffer the reward of the righteous to perish." So when you're going through a difficult time, sit back and hand the matter over to God. Surrender yourself and let Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take over the issue, and eventually that matter will dissolve. So sometimes it is a matter of not rushing in and thinking that you're the one that's going to put all things right, but just hand the matter over and have the patience to wait. And God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sees what you are doing. He sees that you are being patient, and maybe that is just a test for you to allow you to practice patience. Because if things don't go the way you want in life, by learning patience, it becomes an active force within you. So sometimes not everything is as we perceive it to be. Maybe in your life you need to work on your patience. And so situations may arise where you have to practice patience so that it manifests, so that it becomes a part of your character. Now let's have a look at another verse. And this is Surah 16, verse 42. "They are those who preserve in patience and put their trust on their Lord." So you know what surrender means. Islam means surrender. When you surrender yourself, this is you giving the situation over to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is you handing the situation over. If you don't learn to hand that situation over to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you are not learning to put your trust in Allah. And so some things are not always how we perceive them to be. And this is where you also have to look at everything happens for a reason. Everything happens so that we can learn certain lessons in our lives. So if we're running through life and we're impatient with everybody, maybe situations will happen where we need to learn to practice and become patient and make that patient a part of our character. Just like if we need to learn to put our trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then certain things will happen. And we need to learn to hand the situation over to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is Islam, which is surrender. Now you will have to just excuse me for the moment because I'm kind of, I suffer with asthma. Let me just be honest with you. I suffer with asthma. And I can feel my breath. It's kind of playing up a little bit at the moment. So just bear with me while my lungs sort themselves out a little bit. But it's kind of, I can just feel the pressure on my chest. And it's kind of making my breathing go a little bit erratic. So we all have our own little trials and tests and things like that. And I don't actually have my inhaler with me. I thought about bringing it, but unfortunately, I didn't bring it at the time. Sometimes we set off. But yeah, you'll have to just bear with me because I can feel my chest kind of tightening a little bit. And it's a little bit hard to breathe. So I'm glad I'm kind of getting through the show, though. Inshallah. So just bear with me while while this kind of calms down a bit. But let's continue anyway. I just thought I'd explain that because people would be wondering what's going on with Asif's breathing. It's just that, I do suffer with asthma and it does kind of just come on out of the blue sometimes and my breathing just goes a little bit erratic, as it were. And so, anyway, we were talking about patience and putting our trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we have to do that. We have to learn to do that. It's just like if you never practice compassion, if you never practice kindness, all these different things, if you never practice them, they will lie dormant within you. So this is why things happen to us in our lives, and we have to ask those questions. What is the lesson I am meant to learn? And that is such an important question we need to learn to ask. What is the lesson in this situation? Is it that I need to practice patience? Is it that I need to practice kindness? Is it that I need to practice compassion so that they become a part of us? Because imagine if these things didn't happen to us. We wouldn't develop, we wouldn't grow because we wouldn't practice them. Now imagine this. Somebody who doesn't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and they're just going off doing whatever they feel like doing. They have no belief, they have no care, they don't practice anything. So just think, how they are developing. What thought activity are they working on within themselves? Well, only they will know. But the point is, things happen to us in our everyday life so that we can manifest within ourselves certain characteristics like compassion, like kindness, especially during Ramadan, or acts of kindness, giving in zakat or whatever it is. All these things happen so that we can develop certain characteristics that are good for our soul. So never underestimate the situations that are going on in your everyday life. Because you don't know what it is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to develop. If disaster strikes, maybe you just have to learn to hand the matter over and put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala until you get to the end of it. All these different things, only you will know yourself, because you will know what you're going through, and then it's for you yourself to determine what it is. What is the lesson that you need to learn? And then that is between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how you learn that lesson. And so don't allow the harmful thoughts or the negative emotions to overwhelm you. And don't allow yourself to get into a bad temper because things aren't going the way you want them to go. Look at, what am I becoming here? What is it that I need to learn? How can I grow? How can this situation help me to become a better person? And those are the questions that you need to ask yourself that will help you on your journey. And so, living according to the teachings of the Quran is not just about setting your life according to its teachings, but it's about nurturing spiritual growth. Nurturing spiritual growth. It's about cultivating qualities such as humility, gratitude, and forgiveness, because these again are central to Quranic teachings. You can experience a deeper sense of spiritual fulfillment by using these qualities daily and asking yourself and reminding yourself, what lessons am I learning here? And by embracing its guidance, applying its principles, and we're talking about the principles of the Quran, and nurturing your spiritual growth, you can experience profound fulfillment and purpose in your life. And harmful inner thoughts that bind you to the cycle of endless misery and self-sabotage will slowly fade away. Meditation allows you to explore the loving divine presence within your own heart. And through the Quran, you will find ways to enhance your own wisdom, because you will become wise yourself. And so, as you learn to enhance your own inner wisdom through the verses of the Quran, you will find your life's purpose. And you will be inspired by, you'll feel that inspiration through wisdom. And as you learn to follow the guidance you receive, this will lead you on to your own spiritual growth and development. And you can also gain knowledge. And as you learn to connect to your own guardian angels, you'll become more attuned to their guidance and your understanding of your own spiritual experiences. Because, certain people will have their version, but they will never experience what you experience. Your spiritual experiences are a part of your learning. If you try to tell somebody about a spiritual experience and they've never had that spiritual experience, they won't really understand your spiritual experience. They'll put it down to something. They may say, oh, it's this, or it's that, or it's the other. But it might not be that at all. They're just basing it on something else somebody has told them. So understand that the hereafter is a real place. It's a place where you receive divine guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you do have angels that have been specifically assigned to you to help you on your journey, to give you that guidance that you need so that you can grow in awareness and grow in a way that allows you to become much more than you were. Even if it's just practicing patience, even if it's just practicing kindness, opening your heart in love. Because there's a lot of Muslims out there and they've closed off their hearts. They've closed themselves off. They've built around themselves this wall of rejection. And they need to bring that wall tumbling down and open their hearts in love. Because that's the only way that will re-establish that connection. Because compassion, kindness, these are all acts of love. Gratitude, helping each other, showing compassion. All these things are contained within the expression of love. If you cut off the divine expression of love and create around yourself a wall of rejection, you will one day have to take that wall down, because it's not something you want to carry over into the hereafter with yourself. Love is something that will transport you to such a higher state of consciousness that you'll be absolutely astounded. And the expression of love will help you on your journey. It will open you up to see the bigger picture. Because you know yourself, when you're thinking negative, it's like you've jumped in a box and pulled over all the corners and you're inside that box and you can't see outside of it. But when you're happy and go-lucky and filled with love, it's like you're open. How can, you'll know yourself. And I've said this a number of times. You go outside on a rainy day and you cover your coat up and you can't wait to get to the shop and get back home or get into somewhere dry. Yet if you go out and take that exact same journey, but the sun is shining, the weather is happy, you feel happy and you're so open. So just imagine that, the difference. Even the weather can teach you a lesson about yourself. So, harmful thoughts, they restrict you and hold you captive. Loving thoughts open you up. And you feel so much more connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is the beauty. So next time you're out in the cold weather, well, we've got some nice weather. It's been a little bit rainy today. But, overall, the weather's nice, so you go outside and you feel okay. But come winter, you're not going to be going outside in a short shirt. And, I see some people walking in those short little pants, So you're not going to be walking around in those in the middle of winter, even though some people do. But I'm sure you understand exactly what I mean. You're going to be wrapped up and rushing to get to where you are so that you can get warm again. So, do think about these things and look beyond what is actually happening and try to take note of why you're going through some of the things that you're going through. What is the lesson that you need to learn? That is the question. What lesson do you need to learn? Do you need to learn to be kind? Do you need to learn to give in charity? Do you need to learn compassion? Do you need to learn surrender and hand the whole matter over to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Just like in the verse says, Surah 16 verse 42, they are those who persevere in patience and put their trust in their Lord. Do you need to learn to put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So you may be going through a certain lesson. You may be going through an experience. Look at what you need to learn. And Allah will give you certain experiences to get you to look within yourself. So don't always blame everybody else, but look at what you are becoming and what you need to learn from the experience. Because there will be a reason behind it. Because everything happens for a reason. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the best of planners. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what you're going through. So learn to surrender yourself and hand the matter over to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And let Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be your guide. And surrender yourself to the love within yourself. Because through the love, you will find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You don't find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through hate. Think of it. You don't ascend consciously when you're hating or you're going through a difficult time. You want to shut everybody out and run away and you don't want anybody around you. You want to be left alone. But that isn't love. Love opens you up. So find the truth within the experience and let the Quran be your loving guide through your journey in this world. Now, inshallah, we are coming to the end of this program. I hope it's been helpful to you. I hope it's given you some things to think about. So may Allah bless you and keep you all safe. And Jazakallah from myself, Asif Sabah. And don't forget, if you get time, do pop onto Amazon, look at purchasing my book, and soon I'll have another book coming out, maybe 2 to 3 weeks, inshallah. So may Allah bless you, keep you safe, and we are coming up for this commercial break.